Bible speaks of the ark leveling mountains and laying waste to entire regions.
Not something to be taken lightly. No one knows its secrets.
Jones, do you realize what the ark is? It's a transmitter. It's a radio for speaking to God.
The explosiveness, not long after, we'll continue now, live. We have a woman who was born in Illinois. She was the daughter of a FBI agent and a teacher. And she was traveling the world and then came back and was wanting to be a writer before she watched a play and then decided after the play that she would become an actress. Not long after, she was studying with the likes of Lee Strasberg and ended up in a very nice little movie called Animal House. And her beauty and her, I guess, feisty nature managed to get her an audition for a small film that was going on at the time called Star Wars, which she didn't quite get, but she remained on the radar and ended up auditioning and winning the role of Marion Ravenwood. And in fact, she got the role, the major role, before any of the other major roles were cast. And all the major actors who would come in and be cast were actually played with her in the casting sessions. And it was how the chemistry was going. But without further ado, we will now introduce the woman who's defied time to remain just as beautiful and lovely as she was when we first saw her on the magnificent Indiana Jones big screen in 1981. Ladies and gentlemen, Miss Karen Allen. Thank you so much for joining us.
I certainly didn't go into it having a clue about how I was going to, be in this film. And I knew I loved the character. When I read the script, I thought, what a fantastic character they've written, Marion Ravenwood. I thought it was the best introduction of a character I'd ever imagined in my life. You meet this woman who's running a bar in Nepal. She speaks fluent Nepalese. She's ordering these large, Sherpa men around and drinking people under the table for money. And, the love of her life walks in and she socks him in the face. I thought, okay, what a girl. Well, that scene in Raiders of the Lost Ark, it was always a problem for me because when I read the script, I didn't really get it. Like, why in the middle of the desert here, Marion has been captured by the Germans, and she's, in this tent, and Paul Freeman comes into the tent, and, I think in the original script, as it was written, I think they had actually written that she literally tries to seduce Paul Freeman's character, Belloq, in order to escape. And I said to them, no, this will not work. And I said, I really, really believe that this character is completely and totally in love with Indiana Jones. She's been in love with him since she was 16 years old. And I think that you completely destroy the character if she actually really tries to seduce him in order to gain her freedom, irregardless of where Indiana is. So we went round and round and round about this a little bit, and I didn't understand why she would put this dress on. It didn't make any sense to me whatsoever. She's in the middle of the desert. She wants to escape, so she puts on a white long dress and a pair of high heels. I was really having a hard time with it. And Stephen said to me, if you can come up with something better than what's in the script and something that makes sense, and you show it to me, we'll shoot it. So I talked, and Paul Freeman basically agreed with me. So on our lunch hours, for a few weeks before we were going to have to shoot the scene, Paul would come into the tent, which was actually a set that had been already set up, and we would go in and we would just fool around with the scene and play around with ideas and stuff. And he and I came up with this idea that I actually put the dress on in order to hide the knife, in order to trick him into thinking I was going to seduce him. And he made up the whole thing about the alcohol being like something from his family, which is why I think I'm going to get him drunk, and instead I get drunk. And we had this sort of wonderful little story that we invented, and at some point or other we felt really happy with it, and we called Stephen in and we said, look, can't we do it this way? And he said, yes, it's fantastic. I love it. I love what. So it ended up getting incorporated into the story, and I was really happy because it solved a whole bunch of my problems. That I didn't want Marion to be like somebody who was trying to seduce somebody else, and I just also really felt that I just wanted the story to make sense to me as the character, and it kind of solved a lot of my problems all at once. Well, that's such a sweet scene in the film. I mean, I think it's one of the most lovely scenes that they wrote between us, after all that we've been through in the course of the film, for us to end up, there together, and it's so kind of perfect for Indiana Jones to, be kind of, ouch, 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 ouch. Well, it doesn't hurt here, It's just, I actually quite love that scene. And I was a bit aggravated at the time that by the time I actually get to starting to kiss him, he's like snoring. It's sort of like, what? Like, I didn't really quite understand why they had written it that way, but of course then you see it and it makes perfect sense. I mean, a little funny aside is that I hadn't seen the film for many years, and I was watching it, a couple of years ago, and suddenly for the first time I noticed that when I wake up in that scene that I don't have my nightgown on. And then I reach back behind me and grab the nightgown. And it suddenly occurred to me, oh, something actually went on between the two of them. 18 years had gone by and that never crossed my mind. Which I guess makes sense when you think about the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. It's like, oh, okay.